Yes, here I am once again, bundled up in my, it would be cozy, but it's a kind of a chilly uh, office here. I've just got back from getting, I've just come back from temple, and I really need this cup of coffee. I don't know if I need it, but it is my intent to have a sip of coffee and feel that first incredible buzz that you get from that first few swallows of coffee in the morning. Oh, yes. Well, it was my intent to go down to the coffee shop this morning, and but was it my will? Okay. Now, I could probably justify it one way or the other. It is my will to have some coffee this morning. Well, it may have been and may not have been because I think will is spelled with the biggest freaking capital W in the universe. So my will, my major will with a capital W, may not have been thwarted had I not been able to go get a cup of coffee this morning. It certainly was my wish, my preference, but if it was truly my will, anything that would have prevented me from getting a cup of coffee or dared to attempt to prevent me from getting that cup of coffee would have been an infraction on the fluid flow of the entire cosmos. And it would have been my indefeasible duty to get that cup of coffee. I don't know if that's making any sense or not. But a few years back, uh, a wonderful sort of new agey, kind of white bready new age guy, Wayne Dyer. I liked Wayne Dyer. Would see him on public television a lot, and uh, he was just a wonderful human being, and very observant and very insightful. And so I enjoyed Wayne Dyer, and I had the pleasure of following Wayne Dyer at a international New Age trade show thing. As a matter of fact, he made my I was the MC at uh, the luncheon event. Of course, I was plugging my new book, uh, Book of Ordinary Oracles, and but I also volunteered to be the MC to introduce Dan Mellman and a couple other luminary authors. And Wayne Dyer was so popular that he had his little seminar going uh, just before lunch, and he went over by about 45 minutes. And so that's my brush with Wayne Dyer. But but anyway, he talked a lot about this power of intent, and for a while, it was sort of the in subject with the new age, new thought movement, and it still is, but for a while it was very fashionable. Uh, but intent with a capital I is very closely related to uh, at least a partial definition of will and the so-called power of intent. Uh, when you consider it in light of your understanding of what will is, cosmic will. Your will, properly understood, is what old people used to say was the will of God. I wrote in, what is it, Low Magic, chapter 3. I try to put absolutely everything. I can't not put everything in kind of personal perspective. I only understand things uh, uh, not so much theoretically, but how they have how they reflect off of my own movie screen of my own life. And this very short chapter 3, the law of attraction and the power of intent, and my date with Linda Kaufman. And it starts off with an epigraph. Intent is the mechanics through which spirit transforms itself into material reality. And that's Deepak Chopra. In his book, the books, that quote and the title of the book tells you absolutely everything you need to know about this. Intent is the mechanics through which spirit transforms itself into material reality. And the title of this book is The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desire. Yeah. A few years ago, in the last few years, we've heard a lot about the law of attraction and the power of intent. At the risk of being shunned and ridiculed by the more hardcore wizards of the occult community, I have to confess my deep and abiding respect for the works of Louise Hay, Deepak Chopra, and Dr. Wayne Dyer, among others, for bringing to a wider audience of seekers the fundamental secrets of true magic in ways that are understandable and acceptable to people of all spiritual backgrounds. Perhaps you don't think that such fluffy New Age pundits could actually be tossing around the supreme secret of the ages on public television, sandwiched between cooking shows and reruns of masterpiece theater. But they are. Magic may be the science of causing change to occur in conformity with will, science and art, but the mechanics of that will can at least be partially described by the single word intent. Magical theory suggests that everything in the universe is the product of intent. I wouldn't dare to attempt to prove this vast and unprovable statement, and God's forbid I would dare open up the absurd intelligent design can of imaginary worms. I will, however, not hesitate to point out how many things in our shared reality, objects, inventions, events, ideas, religious and political movements, even our view of time, can demonstrably be the direct and unambiguous products of intention. Take this book as an example. It is my intent to communicate a few of my thoughts and experiences concerning magic as to as many people as possible. It is also my intent to earn some money in order to help keep a roof over my head and sustain a modicum of self-respect for myself and my family, as I look to the fast approaching years of my dotage. It is my publisher's intent, among other things, to provide a quality literary product in such a manner as to make the maximum profit from the minimum expenditure. And yeah, and to provide information and entertainment to the book-buying public, especially those individuals whose interests are in harmony with the publisher's philosophies and interests. And I digress to say I am extraordinarily lucky to to have publishers uh, whose interests are in harmony with with the well-being of the planet. I guess I would say. Furthermore, it is the publisher's intent to keep his or her family of employees, subcontractors, printers, distributors, suppliers, etc., gainfully employed and contributing to the intended support and well being of their families and communities. As the reader, I'm assuming, it is your intent, among other things, to enrich your life with the knowledge and ideas presented in this book, and to use this information and insight for your own intended applications. Magical intent has much in common with what we normally associate with the concept of willpower. It is, however, something much greater than the teeth gritting power of concentration to force something to happen that was otherwise not going to happen. Magical intent is more of a matter of seeing what you truly want so clearly that your vision, indeed, your love of the vision, creates a living entity. Faced with the birth of this new cosmic citizen on the creative plane, the universe has no alternative but to rearrange conditions on the material plane to accommodate the complete manifestation of this now inevitable object or event. You may find this hard to believe, but I learned the secret power of magical intent when I was 6 years old. Here we go on. When I was a kid, we we had to work at it. We had to take psychedelics to gain enlightenment. Now you got it easy. You just plug your goddamn self in. But I digress. The inspiration for my operation was my kindergarten classmate, Linda Kaufman. Linda, if you're out there, thank you very much. But I've gotten over you. I've moved on. She was the most beautiful girl at George Washington Carver Elementary School in Lakewood, California. I always arranged to sit near her for rhythm band and finger painting. She seemed to enjoy my antics, especially my sophisticated ability to bark like a sea lion. I also had the pity factor working for me because the first few months of my kindergarten year, I was forced by a serious hip condition to walk with the aid of crutches. I was insanely in love with her, and each night as I lay in bed, I fantasized how I would take her to the movies on a real grown-up date. I correct myself, it was not a fantasy. It was a vision of a perfect moment of love. A perfect vision of love given and of love received. For months, I rehearsed the scene in my imagination. I'd be dressed in a suit and tie. I would somehow drive to her house and pick her up. I'd meet her parents. Her father would invite me into his den and offer me a cocktail, like they drank on the television show Topper. Then Linda would appear in a pretty new dress and would drive off to the movie theater. I'd buy us some popcorn. We'd find seats near the front and share our popcorn and giggle. Then, when the lights went down and the film began, she would take my arm, because I'd be too shy and polite to do it myself, and put it around her shoulders. And she and I would snuggle close for the whole movie. It was a lovely dream, and I was determined to make it happen. During Christmas vacation in 1954, I approached my mother in the kitchen and told her I wanted to take Linda Kaufman to the movies. I ordered her to call Linda's parents right now and arrange everything. It was a bold move. I was conjuring a dangerous demon. My mother could be unpredictably violent and cruelly abusive. It was such an odd little demand, however, that I think I took her completely off balance. I didn't have the slightest doubt she would obey my command. She stared at me for a moment, then picked up the phone and called Linda's mother. They laughed and gossiped for what seemed like hours. When she hung up, it was a done deal. New Year's Day, 1955. It was a Sunday. The perfect day for Linda and me to see the new biblical epic, The Silver Chalice. I gotta be thinking about the Holy Grail, Holy Guardian Angel. All in retrospect, this is almost biblically cliche. The new biblical epic, The Silver Chalice. Mom and my older brother Mark, he and his date would be our chaperone. My brother is 6 years older than I. They waited in the car while I dressed smartly in my Sunday school sports jacket and clip-on tie, knocked on the door of the Kaufman residence. Her dad answered and invited me into his den and told me to sit down. Would you like something to drink? He said. I couldn't believe this was happening. He poured us each a heavy highball glass of ginger ale and ice. I'd never tasted ginger ale before. Hey, was this a cocktail? Linda soon appeared with her mother and spun around to show off her new dress. I was sure the ginger ale was taking effect. Everything, almost down to the last detail, was happening exactly as I envisioned, and it didn't stop there. At the theater, my brother and his date following discreetly behind us. I bought popcorn, and Linda and I found our seats near the front. We giggled and munched, and when the lights dimmed and the big Warner Brothers shield beamed at us from the silver screen, Linda Kaufman, my goddess, the love of my life, grabbed my arm and put it around her shoulders, where it remained locked in sweaty, painful ecstasy for the next 2 hours and 22 minutes. At that moment, I knew that my mind, my dreams, had the power to make things happen. I knew there was some kind of living intelligence that hears the yearnings of my heart. A being, a God, with power, the power to bring into reality anything I imagine, anything I intend. However, it would take me the better part of the next 50 years to discover and understand that the nature of that power is love. And that without that vital ingredient in the recipe, my magic would always fall short of perfection. And that's our little talk for today. It's kind of funny. I was looking in my in an old diary where on November 2nd, probably 1980 something, uh, I had mentioned that in the Anglican priest's handbook that they observed November 2nd as the feast or the observance day of the Holy Guardian Angel or Guardian Angels Day. I think Roman Catholic Church does it on October 2nd. But anyway, I thought that was kind of appropriate. So I'll take the Anglican one and wish you all a very happy Holy Guardian Angel Day. Eat something delicious. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.